Chop it down. Chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down.
I just appreciate everybody
watching. Watch him throw the ball. We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on. Keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome in. What's going on to everybody? Good afternoon, good morning, whenever the hell you watching. If you watching live, what's going on with you? Welcome back to another episode of the Trap or Dive podcast.
Mic cut. Back on.
Wi-Fi went out just that quick. God damn, I just started the show.
Hey,
just started the show, bro. Yeah, man, come on. Yeah, Dre, what's going on with you, man? How you feeling, bro?
Shit, it's the weekend. You know I'm pumped, man. Shit, watch some football tonight. NFL and college, man. We got both going. Shit, I'm ready, man.
Who on? Let me check it out, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. The last 2 Thursdays since NFL started, bro, I have not seen a single snap of college football on Thursday night. Oh, I see it now. West Virginia Tech. That's a good game, actually.
Yeah, this is actually the first Thursday night game in the last couple of weeks because last week they didn't have a Thursday night game. So
they didn't. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense then. Coastal Carolina still undefeated. CCU. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm about to say they was doing their thing when my boy Kate was there, but they still playing good.
Yeah,
did that quarterback stay back?
On both of them. I think he did. Yeah. He
yeah, I'm looking at it now. McCall. He playing good too. Only got 21 incompletions. That was 1 pick. Okay. I don't know who the hell everybody else is. Yeah. Okay. Coastal Carolina. You got any action on college ball?
Yeah, I put action on both games tonight. I got Virginia Tech and Coastal Carolina tonight, so that's what I'm rocking with.
Okay, Virginia Tech. Oh shit. Okay, Virginia the favorite. So you got Virginia Tech on the money line, or you got them covering?
I took the spread. It was 2.5. I got it at.
Yeah.
All
right, I'm on the Thursday night, the NFL game. I got the Browns. I took them at 4. Yeah. I took them at 4.
I got them at 4.5.
Oh, so you got them? You probably got them later on this evening then, or close.
I got them actually about this afternoon, sometime around 1 or 2 o'clock this afternoon. I put it in.
Yeah, but I did like a 10 a.m., 11 a.m. John said, "Fuck it, bro." You know what I'm saying? I'm ready to go. Okay, bet.
Yeah.
Oh, let me check. I didn't even know that's
it went up. Yeah, that joint be going up.
I wonder what happened there, because that's a high for it to jump up like that.
I think the action been going in on Cleveland. That's what it was. It was like too much people was coming in at that full.
Maybe, bro. But we finna find out because I'm about to tap in as soon as this thing over with, man. You know what we here for, Dre. Philly Eagles, and then obviously Washington Commanders. They face off this week, week 3 for Washington. Dre, what's your gut feeling about this game? We kind of talked about it for a second. Tuesday, but we didn't like fully immerse ourselves with this matchup. What's your gut feeling about how this thing can play out? Obviously, we'll get to our actual prediction later, but what are you feeling in your gut that tells you they can or cannot knock Philly off this week?
And that's the thing, because usually whenever this team is like faced with like the odds that they're faced with Philly coming in this week, this is when they usually actually play good. Like this is when they come out and play. And I feel like the line is a little bit overreactionary. Like I think the line is like 7.5 now in favor of the Eagles.
Oh, it shot up to 7?
Yeah, last time I seen it, it was like 7.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm about to okay. I'm listening. Go ahead.
So exactly. So that's what I mean. Like when I see that, I'm like, okay, that's a reactionary line to, Philly's Monday night performance and then Washington's performance against Detroit. But for me, it's a divisional game. And I feel like these divisional games, they're going to be tough. At least, I mean, we've had our share of blowouts on the opposite end of them, especially with Philly. But I feel like this game, it's a game where everyone just expects Philly to come in and dominate Washington, and this is just the third game into the season, and I'm feeling like this is a ripe spot for Washington to kind of shock some people this week. That's just the gut feel I have this week, is that they'll probably shock some people this week because everyone's being overreactionary to what happened last weekend.
JB, what's going on with your player? Yeah, so let me go ahead and add AJ in here. That joint's still at 6.5 on my I don't like to say it publicly, but the site that I'm on. So when that joint get to 7 though, for sure, I got it, because I'm not paying for that half point. Fuck that. I'd rather just stay off the game if I gotta do that. But yeah, like, and what's going on, AJ? Let's check in with you, bro. How you feeling today? Everything good?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How about y'all?
We good, man. Just running with these talking about these gambling plays for the night. You got your 15 game parlay ready? You got your 15 leg jump going on? I know you got some.
No sir.
Oh, that's just for the weekends and shit.
NFL is way too unpredictable right now.
It is.
Man. I think you gotta wait until the middle of the season for everything to get a better understanding of who's a good team and who's not. But y'all gambling motherfuckers addicted, so y'all gonna do that too, regardless. So go.
Yeah, you're right. But what you're also saying is true too. Like, for what it's worth, like, a lot of people, and it's weird for me, a lot of people think that week 1 is the hardest one for them because you never know what you're going to get. And I feel like I'm my best during week 1, but the hardest thing is week 2, because week 1 is always a facade. Like, you never know, like, who's a real legitimate contender in week 1 or after week 1. So when you go into week 2 with what you learned in that first game, and then you fuck around and go, like, if you make 10 picks, you go 2 for 8. Like, it's wild. So it's really unpredictable, bro. Ralph, I see you in there, bro, with the energy. He keeping that same energy, talking about Philly. So AJ, we were talking about the gut feel. We're going to do our predictions later, but the gut feel on Philly heading into the game, and Dre was, saying that he feels like there is a chance for Washington to one cover that 6.5/7, but also just generally the divisional game giving Washington an opportunity to pull off that upset. And for me, my gut feel, I hate to do this, but I wouldn't even be true to the show if I'm not being honest with you all. I think that this game can be close, but I also think that it has a 50% chance. So, like I'm saying, we can be close/win, or Washington can get blown out. Like, clearly that's just saying that's all 3 scenarios. Well, it's technically 4, because you can have a close, a blowout win as well, but I don't see a blowout win happening. But I really think that it's a 50% chance, or close to 50, that Washington can really lose. And when I say blowout, I mean by double digits. It can be 10 plus points, and just obviously Philadelphia being in control the whole way. Not necessarily 20 plus points or 30 plus points in a blowout loss, but just not having any sense of control or any sense of fight in this game. And I messaged you all. I wasn't playing when I said what I said about Cole Holcomb, but I'm not ready to declare that he's like ass. Like, I think for me, like, I'm a person, and I'm not just picking on Cole right now, but
tell him the full scope of what you text.
No, he did a voice note. He gave us a voice note.
I had to make sure y'all.
Let the audience know exactly what you're referring to.
Yeah, so I was a little late in my film for the defense in terms of, like, going from, like, down to down type of thing. So I was doing that today, and defensively, I'm just going through things, and I'm, like, taking notes of certain players like F.A. Obata. He's good in space, but when you ask him to hold up on a double team in the run game, he's going to struggle. He doesn't have the frame to really hold up against a guard and a tackle, specifically Detroit. So, like, Philly is going to probably be a problem too if you have to keep him in the 3-tech. If you go to the back end, Benjamin St. Jude's probably the most consistent cornerback that Washington got, and that's in the first 2 games. Kendall Fuller, can't trust him in terms of certain coverages. William Jackson III, had his moments, but majority of his moments were bad. Couldn't keep on his feet. And one of the biggest moments in the end zone when he got thrown at. Probably didn't see it coming. It was like, oh shit, they actually throwing my way. I got to make a play. And then you look at the linebackers, and I ain't never seen linebackers fall for damn near every single play action that anybody sent their way. Like, they're getting sucked up on every play action, and not only are they getting sucked up, these guys are goddamn when they get back and get to their zone depth, they're not even getting all the way back to their zone depth. Like, and then they're lost. They don't know where their hook coverage is or where they're supposed to drop back. Point being, because I know I exaggerated or overstated what I was trying to get to. All of this to say, I ended up on Cole Holcomb in terms of my players that I'm looking at, and I'm like, bruh, 8 times out of 10, he looking lost. Like, he'll make some plays, but majority of the plays that he does have are negative plays. They're negatively graded plays for me, and it comes from gap assignments, but mainly coverage. He looks lost, and it's like, oh my God. I don't want to say that he ass. Like, I'm giving everybody the full context. I don't want to say that he ass. I'm not there yet. See, that's the thing. Like, I got a grading scale. As soon as I learn these things, I got a grading scale. There's elite, there's very good players, there's above average players, there's average, there's below average, and then there's people who just can't compete. He ain't down there. He can compete, but it's like, I gotta find out everything else. So, like I said, with this defense and how it gets back to this conversation, I look at Cole Holcomb, bro, and I look at these linebackers, man. And it's not just the linebackers, bro, that's having these issues in terms of how they play. Sometimes it's not just miscommunication. Sometimes they just don't know their assignment. So like we talk about how miscommunications are problematic. They sometimes don't even get to the right spot. Like, they can have good communication and just blow a coverage. Or they can have good communication and out pursue a gap. Like, Derek Forrest is taking bad angles at times in the run game, or he's late with his eyes and being able to crash or make a play. Like, his reaction time is late. And it's like, all these things are showing itself in the first 2 games. And I'm like, bro, what is my gut feeling for Philadelphia game? I think when we talk about, can the defense get better, I mean, you can only go with an up at this point, but what is my gut feel on them actually getting better against Philadelphia, who has one of the best rush offenses in the NFL, and they have one of the best play actions and RPOs off that run game in the NFL? Can Washington overcome that? My gut feel is like, hey man, it's a tough task. So yeah, my gut feel isn't too good, man, and I wouldn't be myself if I wouldn't be true to the show if I ain't say that shit. So AJ, that's where we're at, man. Your gut feeling as we head into the game.
I mean, gut feeling going into the game, I don't really expect it to be that close, but it all is dependent on how fast Washington's offense can get started. I think when that offense gets the ball moving and they can put points up on the board, not field goals, but like touchdowns, it can definitely give this defense some momentum and make them feel like, okay, cool. You know, they can put some points on the board. We have some type of like wiggle room to, you know, mess up here and there, but still, you know, we're putting some points on the board. What's funny is I text y'all privately before we just about to start the show. I was actually going on Amazon Prime to watch old episodes of A Different World, but I ended up watching something of the All or Nothing season, Carolina Panthers with Ron Rivera. And I think it was like close to the end of the season, probably the second to last episode. And the defense. Before
you finish, how many seasons? How many episodes is it? I just want to know because you told me to watch it. I'm gonna watch it.
It's like 7 episodes. So it was one season of the Eagles, one season of the Panthers. I know this season is the Arizona Cardinals. So, and I think they also did another season. HBO did the season with the Colts last year. But, yeah, pretty much the defense is having the same issues that Washington is experiencing now. And they were under defensive coordinator Eric Washington. I think around that same time, that's when Sean McDermott that season had ended up taking the Buffalo job. And they're having the same exact issue as Washington's defense is having now. But as some people that may have watched All or Nothing, it's behind the scenes, so you get more in-depth look into how Ron Rivera handles those situations and things of that nature. Mind you, a lot of people that were on that staff were brought over to Washington as well, whether it be like the Richard Rodgers, of course, Scott Turner is there, North Turner was there. He's been helping out. But long story short, with the defense, they were doing really bad, and they were on like a 3 or 4 game losing streak. And
what year was that too? I'm about to look them up on Pro Football Reference.
I don't even know the
2019,
year, but
I think it was 2019.
It might have been 2019, 2018,
okay,
or something like that. But
I'm gonna Google it. Go ahead, keep going.
But like 4 weeks before the season was about to end, Ron Rivera ended up firing his defensive line coach or something of that nature, who was Brady Hoke, who happened to be a former University of Michigan head coach. And he also hired an assistant secondary coach, some guy named Jeff. But Thomas Davis is like raving in the meetings and stuff, like, and even on the sideline of one of the games, like, hey man, you guys are calling the plays in too slow. You guys aren't allowing us to play fast. Like, we're having to think too much out there. We're not playing fast.
Who was the DC AJ on that team?
That was Eric Washington.
Okay.
Yeah.
And crazy.
I'm looking at it now. They were the 23rd ranked in yards, 32nd against the run in terms of yards per average, giving up 5.2, and then 31st in points. So they were giving up a lot of points as well.
So crazy enough, at some point after he made those firings, Ron Rivera ended up taking over play calling himself for the defense. So those were just like interesting points to me, because I'm seeing in my eyes, I'm seeing kind of like the same thing being replicated here in some regard as far as how the defense is playing. That was with veterans. That was Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis, Julius Peppers, Eric Reed, veterans. So all that being said, man, I just don't really see this defense improving this year at all, unless something is possibly done early in the ball game, as far as them scoring offensively or making the play on defense that results in the points. Other than that, I just hope that they get off to an early start, or it could be another ugly game, just like Detroit. You're talking about another team that's pretty run dominant. As you've seen with the film, Mual, they weren't really, playing the run too well. Cole Holcomb is thinking a lot out there on the field. And when your middle linebacker is in that type of situation, it's hard for the rest of the guys to get lined up correctly or even have an understanding of what's about to happen next. Because you want your middle linebacker to be able to diagnose the formations and have high expectations of everybody else on the field, but also being able to anticipate what this offense might do next. And they just don't have that at the moment. So, I think it just really boils down to hopefully Washington scoring early. And if they can, I think it should make for a good game. If they don't, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's going on with Eric Washington. Apparently, he just went.
No, he's with the Buffalo Bills. He's like.
No, I'm saying when he got fired in Carolina. I'm trying to.
He didn't get. So he got demoted somewhat. I mean, I know in the presser on the episode, they like, so who's your defensive coordinator? He said Eric Washington, but he was Ron Rivera started calling the plays. And I want to say at the end of the season, that's when he ended up going to Buffalo and working with Sean McDermott, and he's been there the rest of his career.
Yeah, he demoted. Yeah, okay, so he demoted him, and he demoted him 2018. From what it seems, and obviously Ron took over in 19. So it's even crazier that Ron took over. If he took over calling the plays in 2019.
Well, Ron took over. He took over in the middle. He took over in the season. He was calling plays like during the season, like 4 weeks remaining.
So this had to be 2018.
Well, not. I was saying because he got fired. He got fired after the Washington game. That was December 1st of 2019.
Right. So 2018 was the season. Yeah.
2018.
Okay. Yeah. Well, either way.
But I mean,
that Panthers team.
Fan base should definitely watch the All or Nothing, because I feel like it's the same kind of thing you're seeing, but I think maybe even in Carolina, maybe Ron had a more hands-on approach with his players, and here he has more responsibility, so maybe he hasn't been that attentive to different things, because even before I came on this episode, I'm watching him, like now he's sitting in all of the meetings, hands-on with the defense, watching what the D coordinator, Eric Watson, is teaching to the players, bringing them up on the board and sitting down with him and saying, that was really good. Like, he was getting a more hands-on approach because he already had fired 2 coaches. So now, like, you could tell the coaches were kind of stressed, like, damn, who's next?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, too, because you brought up hold on one second. Let me answer somebody's question. I know JB asked if Cole Turner played Sunday. I really don't think he did at all. He didn't. Yeah, I just know he was. Yeah, I just know he was healthy.
I know so he didn't play. I didn't see Rogers at all.
Yeah, Rogers didn't play either.
Implemented in the offense much more. He brings a different type of threat from an athletic standpoint at tight end than Logan Thomas.
That man had 1 snap. But he played on special teams, though. Yeah, he played on special teams, but had 1 snap on offense. So that's very interesting. Let's check up in the comments right quick, and I did want to make one statement to AJ that he brought up that I thought was interesting. Jay, what's going on? Jay said Cole is boo. Jack playing match zones with young players isn't a good fit. That's all coverage. But Jeff Goat Montel was going on, big dog. Said hopefully Cam Curl can help. He's not the best safety, but he seems to be a guy that knows his assignment. Also may be able to deploy Forrest, and McCain. Oh yeah, for sure. They definitely going to do that. They definitely about to use that three safety trio. Roger just checked in. Roger, I need that aggressive energy that you be putting in the chat, bro. We need that, man. Monty Kicks, what's going on, big dog? Hulk is checking in. Kim is checking in. So AJ, you had said one thing, and you had mentioned that because we're all talking about Jack Del Rio needs to get the boot, right? And my side and my opinion on that is there's 2 things. First off, the first thing was you said that Ron Rivera was calling plays. He took the play call into his own hands. So we know if something was to happen, odds are he's probably just going to lean on himself and trust himself to get the job done, and then worry about the rest in the offseason. But my main thing is, since we didn't really have this full conversation, and I guess we'll get to Philly soon, but these things are my thing is it's going to be hard to really keep. Like once you make the decision to fire Jack Del Rio, there's nothing to go back to. Like you have no scapegoat, you have nobody where you can say, all right, this is the shield that I have from the media. This is the shield that I have from the front office. This is the shield that I have from the players. This is the shield that I have from the fan base. Once I get rid of Jack Del Rio, which I know I have to get rid of him at some point, I have to be timely when I do it, and I can't do it after 2 games. I have to make sure I give him enough opportunity to show that I tried to give him an opportunity to fix this, to show that I am not willing to acknowledge that there is an issue right now, because if there's an issue right now, we have 15 games left. I don't think that's the side that I was on when we're doing that. But it's interesting to know that if he does fire him, there's going to be something where you clearly see that he's going to bet on himself. It depending on the level of desperation, I don't know what that may entail, but I think that for Ron, if you make that call and you make that call to bet on yourself, you better make sure that you give enough space between Jack Del Rio getting let go and you having like a small sample size of you not being able to do it yourself. Like limit the amount of exposure that you have on the field to say that you can't do it either and fix this defense.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, like I said, I'll refer back to the episode. He kind of like, made a comment in reference to, the 2 firings that he had to make on the defensive side of the ball, and like kind of putting it on himself or whatever, and him wanting to be more responsible in that nature. I honestly don't see Jack Del Rio getting fired. I feel like last year at the end of the season was a perfect opportunity when the media asked Jack about, if he felt concerned about possibly not returning. He was like, nah. So he already had a vote of confidence from Ron, And the defense looked like shit last year, and they brought back the same exact defense. And I just feel like Ron understands he's on his last leg as a head coach in this NFL league. Maybe another opportunity to come in high school or college, but in the NFL,
the XFL's out there.
Yeah, XFL, USFL.
Yeah, one of them joints. He can go work for The Rock, but like, I think he knows that this is a make or break year for him. A lot of people in the fan base think like, oh, nobody wants to come here, whether it be free agent wise or head coach wise, which is the furthest thing from the truth. But I definitely think that he knows that his ass is on the line this season, and at the end of the day, he's gonna ride it out, and he's gonna ride it out with particular guys such as Jack Del Rio. Sam Mills, even though they worked with each other for a long time, was expendable for him, but I just don't see him letting go of Jack. I think you just have to deal with what the defense is. And I know we had a conversation on Twitter about playmakers. I really don't even know if this team has playmakers on the defense to be saying, hey, they need to go ahead and make a play. They got some bodies.
They don't have any playmakers.
We can't talk about Jonathan Allen being like an Aaron Donald type of D tackle. Like, that's not him. He's solid, but he's not a playmaker in that regard. Like, when I say playmaker, I'm thinking a player that can take over a game. Like you mentioned, the Derwin James, the T.J. Watt, the Micah Fitzpatrick, who can turn the ball over.
But I was just gonna say one thing, Dre.
Yeah, go
if
ahead.
you don't mind. All right, I was gonna say that conversation. I think what you're saying actually leans into the point. Like, obviously, Twitter, you're not gonna have that much opportunity to talk, but or express like the point. But that goes into, or at least the side that I agree with Linnell when he said what he said. Playmakers have to make plays, and the fact that you're lacking that part of having playmakers on your defense is part of the problem. Like, you don't have anybody that's able of forcing those turnovers and creating new opportunities for your offense and flipping the field position like that. Montez Sweat is like the defensive line, who's supposed to be a dominant defensive line, who's supposed to be able to rush the passer and create havoc and cause havoc, all those keywords and stuff like that. They're not even forcing fumbles in that sense. They're not forcing turnovers. This defense altogether, from a collective standpoint, like they seem like they're so focused on their assignment and they don't want to make a mistake that they're not even willing to make a play or gamble on something and try to make a play. Like, you don't have that. And to the fact of the scheme part, when you're saying why isn't nobody stepping out, like, if you that goes, for me, that's what went into the fact that it's like playmakers have to make plays. Where are they on your defense? And Washington doesn't have that. And that's more so of a skill gap versus it actually being the fact that they actually have some people on it. They just don't have that type of playmaker on their team. Like I said, there's good players, and I agree with you with Jonathan Allen in terms of
they have no dogs. Like,
yeah,
I want to say the last two dogs I've seen defensively have been Sean Taylor and London Fletcher. Outside of that, they've had no dogs.
Well, see, and here's my issue, and this is something that I've been thinking about the last few days or so, is that we talk about what quarterbacks we didn't pick or what quarterbacks we may have passed on the last couple of years to set this franchise back. What really set this franchise back on defense was drafting two players almost back-to-back in John Allen and Daron Payne, who are, in my opinion, probably the best players on your defense, but they're not premium positions on the defense. Like, AJ, when you bring up Aaron Donald is kind of an anomaly at the D tackle position as far as how he could take the game over. It's not too many people that play that defensive tackle position that could take the game over. Like, Washington chose Daron Payne over Derwin James. That changes the whole landscape of your defense, because now your two best players on defense are two players that are not playing premium positions. Like, they're not playing positions that normally take games over. Now Chase Young, he was drafted to be a game changer, but he's not there. Yeah. He's not available. So he hasn't been available for the last year or so. So that's what Washington is struggling with. Like, you even look at the back end. Like, I mean, of course, we know the linebackers. They don't have an NFL starting linebacker right now on the roster. And then you look at the back end of the defense. You got Kendall Fuller. You got William Jackson, the safeties, Bobby McCain, and them. None of those guys are playmakers. They're, at best, they're solid football players. William Jackson probably should be the best of the bunch. I mean, he was really good in Cincinnati, but even in Cincinnati, he wasn't known as a playmaker. He was known as a solid man cornerback. So right now on this defense, you're just lacking guys that can take over the game or just change the game. Like even in a sense of like, and this is something too that I've been having issues with this defense. Like outside of just being lost, on the field, guys not being where they're supposed to be. I mean, it's unacceptable. You hate to see it, but they don't force turnovers. Like, I think we've only forced one turnover so far in 2 games, and that was just at the end of the game when Trevor Lawrence was playing desperation ball. So, where is the playmakers in this defense? And if you're going to be lost, you got to at least be able to make up for it to say, I can make plays. Like, one of my favorite players in Washington history defensively, D'Angelo Hall. A lot of the fan base didn't like D'Angelo Hall. They say D'Angelo Hall got burnt. But D'Angelo Hall also made plays. He made plays. Like, he may not have been a technical corner, the guy that was going to go out there and shut a guy down, but he was going to make plays, and he could turn a game over at the flip of an instant. But we don't have anybody like that now, and that's where this defense is struggling outside of just being incompetent.
Yeah, I mean, Dre hit a lot of points. I mean, when you take back-to-back drafts, D tackles in your top 20 picks, that's insane. Like you're hoping that one of those end up being an Aaron Donald. Yeah, he's an anomaly, but you're hoping that if you take back-to-back D tackles first round, that one of them end up being Aaron Donald. Of course, maybe some of us didn't have the foresight of T.J. Watt, being who he is. But he went 30th in that draft. Tre'Davious White went after Jonathan Allen, or I think I want to say what year was this? Okay, so the year Deron Payne got drafted is the year that there were a couple guys in that draft. But like you said, Derwin James. I mean, at the end of the day, I think with the scheme more so is not allowing guys to play fast. That's the key thing. When you bring in a William Jackson, a lot of people didn't know about him in Cincinnati, but he was not a playmaker cornerback. He was a press man corner. In his whole career, I think he only had 1 interception before he came here. So
I didn't even know that. Or maybe I forgot. That's terrible.
And that's just off the top of my head, but this is not a ball hawking cornerback, that's making plays on the ball. This is a guy that's playing press man. He's doing his job, and that's it. But you don't have playmakers. You feel me? Chase Young has the opportunity to be a playmaker, but the way that the defense is set up with the guys around him, everybody is thinking. If you look at the game live or go back and look at all 22, whatever, you can see a lot of moving parts on the field, and they're just processing shit. They're not being able to play fast. They're just always thinking what's next. And right now, the best thing I think Jack, Del Rio, and Ron can do for the defense is just tell these guys, man, like, let's simplify this. Like, let's make this easy. Because it seems as though that's what they did after the bye last year, and it worked for a good portion. But now they reverted right back to that to start the new season because they've now had ample time to be more hands-on, no more Zoom meetings and all these different things. They reverted right back to the same thing of making it more complicated for these guys and not playing fast. That's why you have a Cole Holcomb that looks so lost in coverage, or even run fits. He doesn't really know what gaps to hit. He's not reading the plays. He's just trying to process what's next.
Yeah. So I'm gonna catch up with some of the comments. Ralph asked us a good question that I think it does contribute to this one, extend the conversation. But hey man, Jay Tyler came in here with some. He on AJ's good side today. He said AJ making some good points. Okay. Shout out to Jay Tyler, you know what I'm saying, checking in, giving AJ some credit this week or this episode. But nah, Jay said Ron won't fire Jack because Jack taking the bullets for him. Ralph mentioned it's hard to believe that no one in the building has a true mind to fix the problems. And I think that comes to the question that you're about to ask. We'll get to it in a second. Dakota, bro, get the move, bro. What is your dumb ass doing? Dakota, bro, move.
But
Ron is a stop.
Embarrassed. Like, I mean, to that commenter's point, I mean, as far as no one wanting to fix the problems, somebody has to be embarrassed. Like that DeAndre Swift touchdown. Like, shit, man. Like I said, I did a DMX crowd when he did that shit. Somebody has to be embarrassed, man.
Hey, bro, that's a throwback, boy.
That's the thing with the way the defense is set up. There's so many young guys that don't have outstanding contracts, so they can't really speak their mind. They can't really voice their opinion. They're just trying to get their feet wet within the league. So that's why when you have like a guy like Defoe say what he said after the game Sunday, he got to backtrack that. I mean, he's a 5th, 6th round pick. Like he can get at any damn moment. He can't really speak his mind. He said exactly what he felt right after the game. That was what he really meant. But he had to backtrack it because at the end of the day, he don't have no place on the team for real. Like he's just getting the opportunity due to whatever. But there's no real vets on that defensive side of the ball that's outspoken, like that will go and speak about this to the coaches or whatever the nature is. So that's why I said defensively, you just got to deal with what it is, man. That's how it's going to play out all season. We just got to hope that Carson and the gang on the offense can put up a shit ton of points, especially early in the game, and get an early start.
Real B's checking in. Real said them boys out there playing like robots. It is what it is. Appreciate you checking in, Real. Reminder for everybody that's in here right now, if you haven't liked the show on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button. If you aren't subscribed to the Tribe or Die YouTube channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. On Twitch, man, if you aren't following, make sure you hit that follow button. We truly appreciate it. Hawk came through and said, and how about the Ravens ponying up for JPP? We don't sign veterans whatsoever, and that is a fact. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say JPP wanted to come to Washington, but Baltimore's right down the street. So he definitely could have came to Washington if he wanted to. I don't know, but shit, they need some help. They need some help on that pass rush because the way Montez Sweat played against Penei Sewell and Taylor Decker, if he's struggling against those two and they're good tackles, like he's in a big year, and like you can't get locked up and clamped up the amount of times that he did against these guys. But to Hawk's point, I agree. Like we've been said for some time that they need some veteran depth, and they continue to go with the younger guys and the inexperienced guys as well.
Let me ask you this.
Yep.
I just want to ask you real quick because I know you watched the film and everything. Now, Montez Sweat, is it scheme based why he's struggling, or is it he is struggling personally, like just to beat off blocks?
Let's talk about it right quick. Hold on.
Because I'm honestly starting to get kind of a little fed up with Montez Sweat.
All right.
Like what did Stephen A. Smith say about the damn Washington Wizards?
The Washington Wizards. So never mind the coverage. This was a really good coverage that kind of kept Washington in this. This was the 4th down. For those who do watch the morning show, you'll get a little bit more film on the defensive side of football. But the coverage held up well for the most part. But look at the pass rush here, and we'll talk about it. Montez Sweat is going to be on your right side. This is one rep, and I got two. I'll show one more quickly. But when you talk about Montez Sweat and what he's able to do in critical, that's a 4th down situation right there that you're asking one of your playmakers, your young playmakers who's trying to get that paper, that's trying to get that bread to make a play and get to the quarterback. Jared Goff has endless time to throw. Finds a guy, Kendall Fuller plays well, but ultimately you're looking at Montez Sweat. His hand moves are like it's done. As soon as I think this is Sewell gets hands on him, he's out. He's out of hand. He's out of moves, and he's stopped. That's one play, and then you go to another one. Where is that one at? Because I have one more. Here you go, right here, and go to this one. Again, that part doesn't matter, but we're looking at Montez Sweat here. I want to show the one where he got clamped up for real. This might be it, actually. Oh, yeah, there you go. It's one more after that. Yeah, there was one more after that was actually worse, but those are just two smaller ones that just shows you, like, and again, it's one game, but ultimately in a situation where you're asking one of your guys, one of your edge rushers who was without his opposite in Chase Young right now to make some plays, you want to see some consistency. Like he dominated against the Jaguars, and you're seeing those reps where you're like, why does Jared Goff out of all people have so much time to throw? Well, one of the guys who who you're asking for consistency, especially once to get paid, he ain't getting there. And that was just two. Out of I think I had 4 or 5 reps, but to the point of JPP, man, that's why you kind of needed that veteran depth. And finally to the question, because we'll get into the Philly game right after this one, fellas. Ralph asked on Twitch, where is it at? Here it goes. To the playmakers section, he said playmakers are allowed to deviate from their assignments to make game-changing plays. Our guys clearly don't understand the simple assignments in order to make a play. He asked us, is it scheme or is it the players themselves? I have said, and I'll start this one off and I'll get the floor to you all. I've said for some time now, probably like a week. That's what it is. What it is. But I've also said too, by the way, because we talked about it heading into the season. I said, I don't expect this defense to really be a top 10 defense or a top 15 defense. Like I said, you just better hope to God they get off the field on third down and they can create turnovers, because that's the only thing that you can hope for with this defense. I don't expect them to be a dominant defense, but when you ask if it's schemes or the players themselves, I would argue that it can go 51-49 either way. I don't think it's lopsided on one way. I really think it comes down to your players being able to make plays, but obviously the scheme being a part as well. So if you came out and said that, hey man, I think the scheme is problematic, but these players aren't playing well, or I think that these players suck, but the scheme ain't helping them. If you said it either way, I would agree with you, because these guys are having issues. These guys are having issues that's far beyond whether it's scheme or players. I think it goes higher up. I think it goes further back than the point in which we're at in the regular season. Something that can't get fixed in the regular season. It goes from personnel decisions to acquisitions and decisions that you didn't make in the offseason that contributes to why we're talking about the players or the schemes. It's talent and scheme related, and these guys don't have a ton of talent on that side of the ball. So when you ask that question, Ralph, it goes either or, but it's not a lopsided scheme, or it's not a lopsided player thing.
Yeah, I mean, it really boils down to being coached up. A lot of times, I'm so tired of hearing it too. Like, oh, this team has 4 first-round picks. Like, that don't mean shit. If you look around the league on both sides of the ball, but especially defensively, most of the teams starting defenses may not even have a first-round pick. And if they do, it's probably 1 or 2. Like, at the end of the day, it's about being coached up, taught the proper technique, and also taught how to play within the scheme that's set upon them. Like, at the end of the day, the scheme is not putting these guys in the best position to play fast. They're not playing fast. Anyone that just knows a little bit about football can watch the game live or the tape and see that they're not playing fast. And when you don't play fast, you don't get the opportunity to make turnovers, because you're not even running towards the ball. You're not seeing what could be coming. You have no anticipation. So that's why they only have 1 turnover, which was, a Hail Mary pass pretty much by Trevor Lawrence that Defoe caught on the sideline to end the game. But outside of that, you're not seeing them make no plays on the ball. You're not seeing them punching at the ball. You're not seeing them even try to strip the ball. You're not seeing anything of that nature that would show you that, hey, this team is going to make, a strip sack or force the running back to lose the ball here, or a big hit that could possibly, let loose of the ball, or, hey, Kendall Fuller is their best, in my eyes, the best, playmaker when the ball's in the air. He's not even playing fast enough to put himself in position to make a play on those balls. So it's just like I said, man, you just got to live and die with what the defense is at this point. I had no expectation for them coming in because it's the same exact group. Like, I seen what the same exact group was last year. What changed? They lost rotational pieces at D tackle and Settle and Ionitis, and they brought in Mathis, got hurt week 1. Aside from that, the cornerback room is even weaker. Outside of Ben, Kendall, and Will, I don't even know who the 4th corner really is. Curl.
I'll tell you, a rookie.
Okay, yeah. So, a lot of people are hyped for Curl returning this week. I thought he looked like ass in preseason. So, I just don't.
Well, you never were high on Curl.
Yeah, I know they high on Curl, but I don't.
I said you weren't. You were never high on Curl.
Oh yeah, I'm not really that high on him, but I don't anticipate him making a difference this week either. So it's just like I said, you just got to live with what the defense is. I don't think anything changes unless Ron is out the picture altogether, because he's just going to bring in somebody that's going to replicate the same exact scheme. I mean, they're running
you see the name
that he ultimately wants. You feel me? So it's like, yeah. I mean, yeah, you see the name. Fire everyone in Washington.
AJ gonna slide it in.
Yeah, bro. Hey, I love the energy for sure.
Yeah. By the way, side note, man, I caught Mual on his radio appearance with JP Finley and B Mitch the other day when he was doing his live hit with all the construction in the back.
Yeah, that shit was crazy, bro.
That shit is a good look for you, my boy.
I appreciate.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, bro. I told people. I tell y'all, bro, I ain't feel like I ain't feel like that was my best thing, but it was my first time doing a radio hit, so I felt a little rush. But it is what it is. Take your time, Dre. You ain't gotta watch it right now. Don't worry about.
Remember, Maul, I did JP and B Mitch show.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was. I felt rushed as well because I didn't even know what I was getting into when I hopped on there. They had me doing some kind of name. I forgot what they had me doing. It was
I remember you was guessing something, and you was just a part of the segment. But he hit me up. He gave me like a little brief outline, and I was cool with that. I thought we were really just talking about like actual film stuff, and then they started asking the questions, and it got more opinionated, which is cool. But then when what really fucked me up. Is when B Mitch asked me about special teams, bro. I'm like, I'm like, no.
I don't even watch that.
I said, I don't watch that, bro. And then he continued to ask the questions, so I'm like, God damn. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you except for we should have Antonio Gibson back there. We really should, because Dax Mill ain't it. But I appreciate that, AJ. And I see you all in the chat as well. FL2, appreciate you checking in as well. I have been seeing you in the comments, my bad. He says we get very passive going to get talent. I think we need to look at adding a Roquan on the trade. Look, you just said it. We're very passive. So while I understand where you're at, and while I think that Roquan has also settled down in Chicago, I think that noise is quieted down. You already know Ron ain't gonna do it because he's too passive, and he'll probably trade for a rookie more than he trade for a goddamn veteran. Like the way they doing things. So let's go ahead and get to this game, fellas, and get up out of here. It was a good conversation, but we can squeeze this one out. What are y'all keys to Washington beating Philly? You can take whichever way. If you got like 1,000 keys, go for it. I'd say limited to like 3. But if you got keys for this game, man, what are some things that's going to be important for you all for Washington trying to get this dub?
I'm gonna start on the offensive side of the football, man. They have to. Scott Turner has to get Carson going early. He has to get him in a rhythm early. And I do, as much as I, kind of lost Scott Turner, and I do like Scott Turner. I think he's a, underrated offensive coordinator. I, think he deserves a little bit more credit than a lot of the fans here give him. But I thought he did a poor job in that first half of getting Carson going early on. And that was one of my keys to the game, to the Lions game. I said you have to get the ball out of Carson's hands fast because, I watched the Detroit Lions and the Eagles game, and Detroit was blitzing the hell out of Jalen Hurts. But luckily, Jalen Hurts is a mobile quarterback. He was able to beat a lot of those blitzes. But I know Carson is not what he was a few years ago athletically and, being able to move and be mobile and get around. And I knew that Detroit was going to feast on that. And it seemed like Scott Turner didn't know that in that game. Well, at least in the first half. Because in the first half, we were just getting blitzed and rushed. And we were still running these slow developing plays. Carson still looking for guys downfield. Nothing was coming out of his hands early, which should have happened early in that game. So in this game, I feel like the Eagles are going to look at the tape of the Lions game and they're going to say, hey, just keep rushing Carson, keep forcing him to make quick decisions. And that's going to be the key on offense is Scott Turner getting him in a rhythm early. Get him some easy plays early. We don't have to go for the deep bar early. Get him some easy completions. Get him in a rhythm. Get him hot. Get him going. So that's my key on offense. You have to get Carson going early and often. Defensively, honestly, I'm just so discouraged by the defense. I don't know what can be right for this defense, especially with an offense like the Eagles. I mean, this Eagles offense can hit you from everywhere. They're good at running, Jalen Hurts is looking good as a passer this year, and that's been one of the knocks on him is, he's not such a great passer, but he's been looking good early on. But I think you have to kind of focus on kind of limiting the run because that is the Eagles' bread and butter. I mean, the Eagles, whether it's Jalen Hurts running, whether it's Miles Sanders, Gainer, whoever on the Eagles offense, you have to kind of limit the run because Washington hasn't been good at all to start the season, limiting the run. Detroit and Jacksonville both gashed them. They were lucky in the Jacksonville game that Jacksonville didn't decide to employ to run a lot in the game, but Detroit did, and Detroit killed us with the run. I mean, they were, they confused us on certain plays. So that's just one of the things the defense is going to have to focus on. And then obviously A.J. Brown, you're going to have to contain A.J. Brown in some way. Yeah. He has been a bell, like Ron said, he's been a bell cow. He's been a heavy target machine. You're going to have to focus on A.J. Brown. I don't want to see A.J. Brown running free and wide open like we just let normal wide receivers run every play. Get on A.J. Brown. I mean, he's not the only talented receiver. Devontae Smith has a lot of talent, but they target A.J. Brown a lot. You have to focus on A.J. Brown. Those are my keys.
AJ, where you at with this one?
Yeah, man, I just think, like I said, key thing is for the offense to start off early, hopefully make some plays on the ball and create some turnovers on defense. I'm not really sure how you will limit A.J. Brown. I'm hoping that, this matchup, especially in the slot for Ben, he will use his physical prowess as well to match up with A.J., get more handsy with him. I'm hoping that they play more press man coverage this go round and try to get Jalen to hold on to the ball a little bit longer than, how the two defenses they played in the last couple weeks have let them just freely run routes and get open. Devontae Smith is a route runner, so that could be a little tricky for whoever is defending him on that end. But ideally, you want them to stop the run. I kind of almost would go back to the same approach Dre spoke about last week of trying to get 8 men in the box and forcing Jalen to beat you with his arm. I mean, we didn't see what we mentioned implemented, but, that's what I would hope with this when it comes to Washington and their offense and being able to, be productive against their defense. I'm very concerned with Fletcher Cox. Yeah, I don't see how the hell they're going to stop him. And that can make for a long day for Carson Wentz because he already doesn't step up in the pocket already. And then you're going to have Josh Sweat probably coming off the end or Hassan Reddick, depending on what down it is. Then we didn't even mention Jordan Davis or Hargrove. Yeah, I'm just curious to see how this offensive line looks. I think they looked bad last week against Detroit. And those guys may not have the accolades as Philadelphia's defensive line, but they damn sure have a motor. And Philly has a motor as well. And once you have a motor, that's one thing that's kind of hard to stop overall. And this offensive line is pretty old if you think about it in a couple spots. You got Trey Turner playing right guard, and you got Andrew Norwell playing left guard. They're not as athletic in the first place, and now they're older. It could be a long day for that offensive line.
Chase Royer is out too. He's out for the season.
Yeah, Chase is out.
Their center. So you're going against a pretty athletic and well accomplished defensive line. Yeah, I just hope that Scott Turner, pulls out a great script like he did week 1 against Jacksonville. I think that what he did week 1, he didn't implement week 2, which is weird. He's like, if something hits, you should probably continue to do it until it don't hit. But you didn't really see any of week 1 in the week 2. So you're hoping that he brings that back for week 3, gets Curtis Samuel involved, do some more jet sweeps and motioning so that it can throw the Eagles defensively off and take advantage of that and maybe be able to get some plays downfield. Because I've seen a stat today where it was like Jahad Dotson is probably like 3rd or 4th in the league, is running the most go routes. So they got him on the cardio team, running fly routes, the all cardio team. So hopefully you can hit on one of those plays going deep to Jahad Dotson or Terry, because they don't really seem to be wanting to use Curtis in that aspect. They want to keep it short with him. And I'm hoping J.D. McKissic gets some more carries too. I like him in between the tackles versus Antonio Gibson. I think that he's way better in between the tackles than Gibson. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to the game. I thought about going to it or not. I wasn't really supposed to be in town this weekend, but I think I'm gonna just stay my ass in the crib and watch all the games.
Hold up. Jamal, AJ, you ain't tell us nothing about this bowling thing. I'm seeing bowling shit on.
Yeah, Twitter. I just saw that, John.
I ain't getting no invite. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I want to come bowl. You know what I'm saying? I want to throw a couple strikes.
So I just,
I know why Drake want to go bowl. I saw that promo video myself.
I want to see girls. AJ, yeah.
I ain't get all my marketing material in, but the bowling event is something that I used to do like a year and a half ago with Casamigos, bringing it back this time. We'll be at Bolero's in Arlington near the airport every other Thursday. So we're going to do it bi-weekly. So we'll do it next Thursday, and then the following Thursday from there, we'll have the week off and then bring it back. But, you know, it's a good time. Good turnout. Have DJ, my boy DJ Schemes, went to West Virginia University. He's #1 DJ there, but now he's taking over DC, doing all the top parties here. Definitely gonna be a lot of ladies, food, liquor. Thursday night football is gonna be on all the TV.
What time that Jones start? Because I be thinking about the Thursday shows. It like 10 o'clock type.
Yeah, we'll be there from 8 until 12 a.m.
All right,
all the arcade games. It's cheap to bowl in comparison to what Bolero costs on the regular because they be hitting heads. But
shit, we just pop out after this then. I would.
Y'all just pull up. Of course, y'all with me. We bowl. I'm not the greatest bowler, so you're not gonna.
I whoop ass. If I'm bowling, I'm trying to whip niggas ass.
I'm gonna sit back and drink. Yeah, I'm gonna sit back and drink and politic with the ladies. You feel me?
You gonna finally drink.
I respect that.
Drink with AJ. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, we know what AJ gonna drink. Get the biddies out. You know what I'm saying? We gonna have a drink or two. Absolutely. I'm with that shit. Hey, all right. So listen, I see the people in here with their keys as well. If you got some keys, hey, keys and victory. Who wins and who's your MVP as well? So we have Ralph's the #1, get the ball to Curtis early and often. 2, aggressive defensive play calling. 3, tell Dax Mill to keep his ass in the end zone. We had a couple more. I think I passed one.
Man, somebody said, Ashley, don't play scared on offense. Aggressive play calling early.
Oh yeah, Huck.
Still game. And then somebody else said, nobody's biting on
these
play action plays when you can't run it. Scott calls plays like he's smoking a blunt playing Madden with his boys. No flow to his play calling.
Now, you know who used to do that? Kyle Shanahan did that shit. Kyle Shanahan used to call plays how he did on Madden. What's his name? Chris Sims said he used to do that shit. He said Kyle Shanahan
you should. Used to play like Madden a lot of you should pull out a script from there. But yeah, Scott Turner definitely be calling plays like he hitting the ass Madden. Definitely calls plays like he hitting the ass Madden.
Let me get my keys out, man. Mine are simple, broad, but also important for these guys. First one is forcing turnovers and third down defense. They kind of go hand in hand. Obviously, forcing turnovers is what we kind of stated for throughout the show, so that needs no further explanation outside of the fact that you're going against a dominant offense so far this year. But I think it's sustainable to being a top 10 offense. The way they can run the ball, and that's shown a proof of concept just last year with Jalen Hurts. So you got to find a way to get turnovers and get these guys off the field, but more importantly, third down. They're one of the top 5 offenses in the NFL on third down, but also defensively, they're one of the worst third down defenses in the NFL. So as good as that defense is, or so it seemed in terms of their matchup against the Minnesota Vikings, the Philadelphia Eagles provides opportunity. But also another thing on third down, Scott Turner will have an opportunity to redeem himself for what happened in that first half against the Detroit Lions. Philadelphia sends a lot of their pressures and man pressures on third down, like when they had those cover one situations and things like that. you have your pressures in those situations as well. So if Scott Turner wants an opportunity to show that, hey man, last week was a mistake, I'm gonna make sure I get the ball into Terry McLaurin hands quicker, or I'm gonna make sure that I dial something up for Jahan Dotson or Curtis Samuel. This is your opportunity against the Philadelphia Eagles to say, hey, I was just bullshitting last week, but I'm back on that shit this week. Like I'm here for it, type of thing. So third down for both sides of the ball is gonna be important. My second one was challenging their linebackers, man. I called out number 57, TJ Edwards. Now, it wasn't like he was terrible, but we had an opportunity to chat.
Mike went out, Jamal.
That boy type Wi-Fi. But I mean, I'll pick up for him. And when his mic gets fixed, he can finish the rest. But I think for me, man, the MVPs of this game for Washington Commanders have to be Jack Del Rio and Scott Turner. I'm gonna put the onus on them to be better at their jobs and be better at putting these guys in the best position to win. You know, a lot of people are looking for Carson Wentz to have a redemption game. I'm not one of them looking for a redemption game out of Carson Wentz. I'm just looking for that man to play decent enough football to win a game, and I feel like Scott Turner has to put him in the right position to not have to feel forced to make plays downfield, but to make the right plays. Because there's been times in the past two games where he's bypassed certain plays right in front of him to either go deeper on certain routes or whatever the case is, just hold on to the ball in general. And I expect Gannon, the Eagles defensive coordinator, to come after him. I'm expecting a lot of pressure. I'm expecting pressure up the middle. I'm expecting corner blitzes, especially you know that you got a new center. Like, yeah, they might have had some repetition in training camp together, but we're going to test that out. We're gonna see what that relationship looking like, and that's exactly what I expect from them to do. But ultimately, if Washington wins this game and wants to be competitive and make this look like a team to be reckoned with, I think this is a huge game. Like, yeah, it might just be week 3, but this is a division foe, and this is pretty much your main competition within that division. I don't really see Cowboys as a threat this year. I don't see Giants as a threat this year. How you play against the Philadelphia Eagles will say a lot about where this team is heading and the trajectory of this team. But if you get your ass beat, it's going to get even worse for Ron and company. It's going to get really bad because now you're
can't go in that pressure eating that goddamn sandwich, or you might fuck around, bring 2 sandwiches in that pressure. y'all worried? I ain't worried.
Yeah, you can't go into this first division game and get your ass whipped. Like, and it's happened a lot over the tenureship of Washington Redskins and Eagles. Like, I'll never forget, and even though that was my client at the time, but Michael Vick kicking fucking
nobody will forget that
Eagles ass. I mean, Washington's ass. And it's so crazy because it was like he was talking. I remember we went to dinner before that game. Me, him, D'Angelo Hall, and a couple other guys. And Mike was talking so smooth with what he just knew what they had schemed up. And I'm like, man, we'll see. That first play was everything, dog. It just changed everything. I will never forget that game. Probably the best game I've ever seen in my life from a quarterback.
That shit was horrible.
Like, with my own eyes. I mean, I'm just saying, like, with my
It's funny, Montel was at the game. He was telling me because he was working the game. I think we were still in high school, 2010 type, or 2011, one of those years. So we were still in high school. They was working the FedEx Zone, and he was telling me how bad it was at the stadium, bro. Like, he just seen the score just kept going up. And Washington wasn't scoring, bro. He's like, bro, this motherfucking game, son, it was terrible,
Monday Night Football, bro. Like, you can't get embarrassed.
On Monday night, yeah, that was it was bad. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I think I want to put the pressure on the coaches and the coordinators to be the MVPs of this game and not the players so much.
Okay. Dre, where you at with this one? We go ahead and get your MVP as well.
I'll get that quickly. My MVP in this game will have to be Jack Del Rio. Jack Del Rio had to start proving his worth here in Washington, D.C. And the Eagles, to beat the Eagles, you're going to have to beat them by limiting their offense. That's their bread and butter. And, I watched the Monday Night Football game with them and the Vikings. And honestly, yeah, the Eagles were impressive offensively, and that's why I'm saying Jack Del Rio has to be the key to this game. But I felt like Kirk Cousins, if the Vikings had a better quarterback, they were in that game against the Eagles. The Eagles really, they didn't do much in the second half, but Kirk Cousins was he was giving gifts. Kirk Cousins was giving gifts out there on Monday night. It wasn't necessarily that, Slay was just, Slay was playing good. I don't want to take anything from Slay, but Kirk Cousins was just attacking him like he was. It reminded me of the Jay Cutler, D'Angelo Hall situation when we played the Bears that time, and Jay Cutler just kept throwing the ball at D'Angelo Hall, even though there was nothing there to be thrown at. That's what I seen in that Monday Night Football game with the Vikings and the Eagles. Kirk Cousins just kept attacking Slay, and I get it. You have your best wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, over there, but you need to mix it up, and he just wasn't mixing it up. He was throwing just medicine balls out there. He was just throwing beach balls. These balls were just easily. I felt like every time Kirk Cousins stepped back to pick in that game, stepped back to pass in that game, he was a threat to throw an interception in that game. And and we've seen it, and that's why I'm kind of commenting on this, because as a Washington fan, we've watched Kirk Cousins, and we know when Kirk Cousins is hot, Kirk Cousins, he can win you a ball game. Kirk Cousins can go out there and he can play his ass off. But when Kirk Cousins gets rattled, he can probably throw a pick on every possession. And we seen it on a Monday Night Football. I think it was against the Giants. He threw 5 interceptions. He did that against the Eagles this past week. So I felt like they kind of let the Eagles off the hook in that sense. And everyone just goes, oh, look how impressive the Eagles are. And don't get me wrong. Like I said, I don't want to take anything away from the Eagles. They were impressive. But I felt like with Kirk Cousins not being the primetime Monday night Kirk Cousins, Vikings have a chance in that game. They have a chance to, be in that game and probably beat the Eagles in that game, maybe. But so that's my key to this game. Jack Del Rio, his defense, his unit has to be the key to this game. And I'm not saying they have to go out there and you have to shut the Eagles down, because they're not going to shut the Eagles down. But they have to be competent this week. That's the thing. And that's what we need from this defense, because I think the offense, from what they've shown, they can keep this team in the games. They can keep this team in games. They can play with teams. But if the defense is going to just go out there and just be incompetent, it's hard for to ask this offense to go out there and beat teams in a shootout. So this defense just has to play competent football, be opportunistic. That's the biggest thing I really want this defense to be. This defense is not going to be top 15 at any point in the season. I don't think they will. They don't have the personnel to be top 15. Yeah, I don't think they have the coaching to be top 15, but they need to be at least opportunistic. And when you have a good offense, and I do think Washington has a good offense, the defense has to at least be opportunistic, make plays when they're there, and just at least make some impactful plays, maybe a game-changing play. You're not going to make a bunch of those in this game with this defense. But just
where's Montez Sweat?
Yes, Montez Sweat. Where is he? Is Cole Holcomb going to prove to be any kind of starting linebacker in the NFL? Is William Jackson going to play up to his contract at some point? Bobby McCain, is he going to be a free safety? Maybe Cam Curl, he makes a difference. But either way, Jack Del Rio and his defense, Jack Del Rio has to be the MVP. They have to be opportunistic in this game to give this team a chance.
And for what it's worth, too, I realized I said Montez Sweat name a few times. It's only been 2 games. He had a really good game for his game, but understand, you just can't have, in terms of pass rushing effect and impact, you just can't have that type of game he had against Detroit. So it's important for him to bounce back, and that's why I'm calling him out this week. But in terms of who needs to step, or at least the MVP for Washington, I think that Philly wins. Personally, I think that Philly probably wins. If I had to say a number or give a score prediction just for the hell of it, because I hate doing the score prediction things, but we do it anyway because that's what we're here for. I'll probably say Philly wins 27 to 17. And I think that, or maybe 27-20. I think that's probably more fair. I think Washington to get in the 20 point range once again this year. But I think that the Eagles, at least right now, I think that they cover. MVP would have to be Carson Wentz, though. Carson Wentz is going to have to come through. And it's not for a redemption side in terms of being able to beat his former team. But I think that for what we know about the defense, there's opportunities that Washington's had in terms of shot plays and also mitigating turnovers. Like, as I'm not sitting here saying Carson Wentz is playing terribly, right? But there's been missed opportunities in both games and even in the first half where we're talking about pressure, right? Pressure is and if you all watch the Trapper Dive morning show, you all kind of understand where I'm going with Carson Wentz, right? It wasn't that he had a terrible game. Pressure was always in his face. But in that same vein, there was opportunities that pressure wasn't there. But because pressure was getting to him at one point, he's checking down to people or missing reads that has opportunities for touchdowns. So I want to put the pressure on Carson Wentz, and obviously the interceptions, like the interception to Logan Thomas was a terrible one in terms of the decision that you could have made. And then obviously the first two games the first two picks we talked about that in Jacksonville, and then some misreads there too. So I just want to see somebody who is more efficient in terms of when the game is still the game and not necessarily when you're trailing and things like that. But I want to see a full quarter, and this is one of those games where Washington is going to need the strongest part of its team, clearly being the offense, to come through for these guys. And it starts with Carson Wentz, and obviously pass protection is going to be big as well. As a byproduct of that, you need to make sure that Carson Wentz can stay clean and have those reads and be able to see the field properly, and things like that, things of that nature. But for me, my MVP is going to have to be Carson Wentz. He's going to have to come through for this team, and not because it's Philly, but because, God damn it, his defense, he ain't got no help on that side of the ball. So that's it for me. I see you all checking in as well. Marshall, big dog, appreciate you checking in, man. He said, agreed, Maga Jack, better get on this horse this week. JB said, no INTs. Hawk, our biggest strength on offense is at receiver. The late great coach, Dennis Green. They are who we thought they were. Marshall said, emotional game for Wentz would like for the defense just to be just bad instead of dumpster fire bad, so we can have a chance, or so he can have a chance to get his feet under him. JB said Washington Commanders 30, Philadelphia Eagles 28. I like that. We got somebody on the side of Philadelphia. On the side of Washington this week. I like to see it.
Maga Jack is such a funny ass fucking name, dog. Like,
hey, he earned it.
To even have that associated with your defensive coordinator is so wild, bro.
He gonna be on Fox News after he get fired.
Yeah, they're gonna use him as their sports reporter.
Definitely. Yeah. He's definitely gonna reactivate that Twitter. I don't know if he took it down or not, but he's gonna go ham.
He gonna go on True Social. He'll be on there.
That's funny. All right, hey, let's go ahead and get up out of here, fellas. So listen, Commanders Morning Show back tomorrow, 7 a.m. The fellas will be back Sunday.
I just know a lot to a little, Philly.
Yeah, what it is, right? But the fellas will be back Sunday post game to recap Philly versus Washington. Hopefully, we're talking about Washington being 2-1, Washington and Philly being 2-1. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Hey, listen up, y'all enjoy y'all game tonight. Y'all enjoy y'all weekend. All that good stuff. The fellas will be back in a few days. I'll be back tomorrow. Peace.